Welcome back to Prime Morning. My name is Asieduwaa Akumia, and I hope that you get and interact with us on all our social media platforms. Let us not forget that we are still pushing the Light Up Ghana campaign, and so we are still awaiting your videos. Which community are you in that the street lights or the traffic lights aren't working? Take a video, send it to our WhatsApp number, and be a part of this great campaign. Earlier during Newsflash, I did say that luckily the traffic lights at in front of the presidency or the Jubilee House that was not working a few weeks ago, that even caused an accident less than 2 weeks ago, has been fixed. And so we are getting somewhere with this drive or this campaign that we are pushing. Please be a part of this. We are waiting your videos. Now it is time for us to talk about hemophilia. What is it that you know about hemophilia? I think the farthest that can go with understanding or knowing about hemophilia, especially from my guest here, who I spoke with him last year. I think I remember something very little, and it has to do with a blood disorder, a generic, which is inherited blood disorder that affects one male or one female in every 10,000 births. So the ratio is 1:10,000. You get the whole ratio now? And so I believe that it is pertinent that we have this conversation since World Hemophilia Day is approaching. And so we need to put the knowledge out there, and you need to be aware of how best you can contain such situations. And so I have seated with me this morning, I did mention my gentleman here whom I met last year, and that is Martin Boakye, who is the president and founder of the Ghana Hemophilia Society. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Good to see you again. Hey, madam. Oh, my goodness. It's Asieduwaa.
Yeah, sure.
So please just call me Asieduwaa.
Sure.
Yes,
nice,
please.
Nice seeing you again.
Yes, nice seeing you again, too. How have you been, though?
Oh, good.
Okay.
Hemophilia movement is still working.
It's still working.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here again to push the agenda forward.
Thank you.
Yes. And then I have seated to his left Janet Mamagah Aballo, who is a parent of Lord Emmanuel Quarshie. That's your son, right? Yes. Yeah. So unfortunately, he is a patient of hemophilia, and he's here to share his story as well. So get ready to learn a lot. This is going to be very educative. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
Fine.
Yes.
Lord, are you excited being here?
Yes.
Is this your first time doing TV?
Yes.
This is your first time?
Yeah.
So are you quite nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit. Relax and just shake it off. Don't worry. Just shake it off. Anything at all you would want to share, just feel free to share with us.
Okay.
All right. So, Martin,
Yes,
last year you were here to push the agenda and the drive to put the knowledge of hemophilia out there to people. Now, a year on, we are here again. What has been the improvement?
The numbers of hemophilia patients registered so far has improved.
Okay.
In fact, as of last year when we were speaking, we were under 500 patients of hemophilia in Ghana. Now we have gone beyond 500.
Okay.
We are heading towards around 520 thereabout.
Right.
There are many more patients who have still not been, though identified, not diagnosed. But if they are not diagnosed properly, they are not added to the numbers.
The numbers.
Many more have been identified, and we are
Okay.
in the process. We have had a lot more of international collaboration
Okay.
that is helping. We have been able to send a couple of medical personnel like doctors and nurses outside for training. So capacity-wise, we are improving in that sense, and the patients-wise, we are getting the numbers up as well.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So I know that I did say something little about hemophilia. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but you being the president of Ghana Hemophilia Foundation, I believe that you have in-depth knowledge of hemophilia. So help us really understand what it is.
Yeah. I will limit my, you said in-depth, yeah, sure, but I will limit my explanation to the point where the Hemophilia Society does, and then the technical detail, I would say the doctors will explain.
Who will take that part?
Yeah, but
okay, that's fine.
for a layman like me, I will say that hemophilia is a blood disorder that affects patients who have what you call blood clotting factors deficiency. So in a normal person, when there's a cut or a bruise, the blood will flow for a certain number of minutes. But for hemophilia patients, normally, it flows more than normal.
So, okay.
And then if it's not arrested on time, it can be fatal. It means that the doctors will explain to you that it is a genetic condition. It is passed on from mothers to their sons. And then when it happens, by 50% chance happens to affect the girl, the girl child, he becomes a carrier, and then she also will pass it on to their daughters. So that is the genetic movement of how hemophilia occurs.
So there is no way that a father can transfer it to a child?
No. By the medical,
it's
always for the mothers that transfer to their sons. Their sons, yes, and their sons will transfer, well, so the sons will transfer to their daughters, and the daughters, yes. No, that is how it goes.
Okay.
When the mother either transfers to the sons, or the sons, the daughters become carriers.
Okay.
Yes, so but it is the sons who display the effect of the hemophilia.
Okay.
It is the boys that become deficient in the clotting factors that affect them. So then when the boy is delivered, the first sign when it's delivered is when during circumcision they bleed more than normal.
Oh, okay.
So when you circumcise the boy of 10 days old and he's supposed to bleed for like 10, 15, 30 minutes, they can bleed for hours, yes.
Oh.
In my particular instance, for instance, my son bled from morning, around 10 a.m. in the morning, up to about 5 p.m. in the evening.
The rest should have lasted just between 10 to 15
Exactly.
minutes.
So that is how the sons display the effect of hemophilia.
Okay.
The daughters become carriers.
Carriers.
Yes, and they may pass it on to their sons.
Okay.
So that is how the hemophilia incidence occurs.
Incredible. Mamagah, let's talk about your journey. How old is Lord?
Lord is 20 years now.
20 years,
Yeah.
okay. So at what point was he diagnosed of hemophilia?
Just like what my boss is saying, I gave birth to Lord, that was 2003.
Yes.
That is when, during circumcision, that is when we realized he has a bleeding disorder.
Okay.
Because a midwife from Kolebu came to the house for circumcision. And then during the circumcision, he was bleeding. And the woman saw that it was abnormal. So he gave him some vitamins K, thinking that the bleeding would stop.
But
he didn't. So we ended up in Kolebu. When we got to Kolebu wasn't aware of the hemophilia disease. So we went through the routine of taking care of the bleeding. By the grace of God, they did well. It took 1 week for the bleeding to stop.
So even with your son was even much better?
My son was lucky.
Lucky,
because when he bled from morning up to 5 p.m., I just arrived from work and they said, sorry to say, but Kolebu issues. They said, we have ordered for blood since morning. And they had not come, so I had to rush to the blood bank and pick the blood to come. Actually, he was close to, passing
Going away.
So I got the blood from the blood bank for him to be resuscitated, and then on and on.
Wow.
So,
Mamagah, but Lord bled for 1 week.
1 week.
So
we were in Kolebu for more than 1 week before the bleeding stopped. I always thank the doctors because the doctors were on him, making sure that the bleeding stops.
Although at that time they couldn't tell it was hemophilia.
Yes.
But they still managed to manage the whole issue.
Yeah, it was during that time that the professor came around and said that no, they have to diagnose him. So they went and did a test and then they saw that he's hemophilia A.
Okay, so there are types of hemophilia.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is my story.
So afterwards, he growing up, what were some of the other signs that he was showing? Did he have to necessarily be cut by something? Okay.
No, the signs were he will be there and then he will be bleeding in any part of the joints. He can bleed anywhere. According to the doctors, he can bleed even in his brains.
What?
So I have to make sure he doesn't move. He doesn't do any other, like children play around, doing other things. Lord have never been through that.
He wasn't running.
No, he doesn't run. He doesn't play with his peers. I have to make sure I keep him like egg because any trigger can cause bleeding.
Do you still keep him that way?
Now he can take care of himself, but he's so used to indoors.
Lord, this whole situation, it moved your mother to shell you up, to shield you away from making friends, having friends, being a regular playing kid. Growing up, how did it feel like? How did it make you feel?
It was difficult in a way. Seeing friends playing and then you can't join them will be something else. But I became used to it.
You became used to it.
Yeah.
Was there a point where maybe you weren't really understanding exactly what was going on, so you had to ask your mother?
Yeah.
You had to ask her?
Yeah.
And she told you that this is what is going on with you?
Yes.
So when you understood, when you were told, then what? Can you speak up for me so that our viewers can hear you properly?
So when I got to know, I knew that it's something I had to do to protect myself. So I shouldn't go into playing and then hurting myself and other things.
So now that you are older, your mom just said that you can take care of yourself and then older. How different are things now from your childhood?
Better.
How better?
Compared to when I was a kid and then I couldn't go out to play, but now I can go out and I know that I shouldn't be able to do this, that there are certain things I'm not supposed to do.
Are you okay sharing the certain things that you can't do?
Playing football.
Playing football?
Yeah. Engaging in any physical activity.
So you can't, let's say, just running here and there, you can't do that? You can't play football?
No.
Wow.
They call it contact sports. They can't
Contact
do any
sports.
contact sports.
Okay. Okay.
Because a little bump will cause injury or swelling, bleeding into the joints, bleeding into the muscles, bleeding from mouth, bleeding from everywhere. They bleed from everywhere of the body. They bleed from the eyes, they bleed into the brains, they bleed into the mouth, they bleed everywhere into the joints. And a hemophilia patient, sorry to say it over, just to help, Lord, if the child of hemophilia is born today and you don't have the medicine for them, by the time they are 10 years old, even 5 years old, and the continuous bleeding and off bleeding and bleeding, by the time they are 5 years going, their joints are all deformed permanently forever.
Yeah. So they're unable to walk?
They will not be able to walk properly. Sorry to say, if Lord can tell you, Lord had the same deformity, just like many other patients that we have.
Oh, you had that? You experienced that deformity?
Yeah.
Oh, they all have the deformity. I think that they show the picture on the TV right now.
Okay.
So, especially the joints, the knees, this is what you're seeing.
Okay, so that's it.
That's it. So, by the time they are 10 or before 10, their joints are all deformed permanently.
Oh, God is great.
Oh, yes.
With what I'm seeing right now in studio.
And it affects their nervous system.
Yes.
Their nervous system.
Yes.
Because whenever they bleed, even they become, I don't know how to put it, they don't like seeing their own blood.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes, so it affects them mentally and everything.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Yes, they require from society, they think they have a stigma, they don't want to associate. So it's a lot of multiple effects apart from the physical deformity that they experience.
Lord, do you have friends now?
Yes.
Are they aware of the condition?
Most of them are aware.
Sorry?
Most of them are.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
How do they feel about it? What kind of conversations do they have with you around that?
Normal conversations.
So they ask you questions like, hey, into bleedy waha, into yesi.
Some of them, the curious ones.
The curious ones, they do. Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Normal.
Normal.
I'll just explain to you and then that's all.
What has been or when was your last incident?
January.
Just a few months ago?
Yeah.
What happened?
I was bleeding in my gum.
You were bleeding where?
In my gum.
In your gum?
Yeah. They bleed.
Okay. Speak up for me, okay? In your gum?
Yeah.
So it just started out of nowhere. You didn't chew anything?
Actually, I was chewing something, and then
what were you chewing? Some tough meat or what?
Yeah.
You were chewing some tough meat. Okay.
And then there was bones in it, so it just hit me, and I was bleeding.
And how long did you bleed?
For about a week or two.
Your gum bled for a week?
Yeah.
10 days.
10 days. So it wasn't even a week, it was over. 10 days.
So I have to rush him to Korle Bu.
Okay.
I was there and one of his friends called me from school telling me that Lord is complaining that his heart is aching, not knowing he has lost a lot of blood. So I have to call Korle Bu and rush him there. So they gave him some of the factor. And then the bleeding ceased the first day. By the second dose, and then he became okay. But he lost a lot of blood.
Oh.
So we were given some drugs and then some blood tonics for him to recover.
And he seems to be doing good.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
God. I think that some viewers are quite interested in getting to know Lord personally. So we'll come back to some personal questions. Are you okay with that? Maybe ask you some very personal questions?
Yeah.
All right. But before that, Martin, this year's celebration, when is it happening, by the way?
This year's Hemophilia Week celebration is happening on the 17th.
Okay.
That is next week, Wednesday. So we started the awareness campaign. This is part of the awareness campaign that we have started. And if I may add, the theme is equitable access. The theme for the Hemophilia Week this year is equitable access to all bleeding disorders. Now, what they mean is that it used to be the case that when they say bleeding disorder, I mean, earlier, people would think that the boy bleeding and then therefore whatever happens. But now, it has increased to mean bleeding disorders that affect all children, the boy, the girl, the mother, because we must form a community of people that must take care, because it's a comprehensive approach that helps the patients be able to recover. For instance, when Lord and his peers have this emotional issue, you need counselors to be able to counsel them, to be able to overcome their fears.
Yes.
So equitable access means that every part of the community or the chain of people who support must know that there's equitable distribution. They must all have a fair share of medicine, the care, the resources to be able to treat hemophilia.
Okay.
And that this education must go to the whole world. In fact, it also means that in the advanced countries, if by the statistics, the medication that is given to children of hemophilia outside, in the developed countries, is about 10 times what children in developing countries also receive. Yes. So the World Hemophilia Society, the World Hemophilia Federation, is trying to increase the access of medicine that developing countries receive, as against the one that developed countries receive.
Are already receiving.
It is far below comparison. So they also have to, urge themselves to be able to do more. In Ghana, we receive around, to the society, we receive around $3 million of free donation to patients of hemophilia, and that's even not enough.
Enough?
Yes. So as part of the campaign, when we are speaking with you and the listeners, we also want to state that the government must also help, come on board to help in the support of hemophilia patients. The support must be in 2 or 3-fold. The first, the government must help us because hemophilia patients, when I mention number of patients that have been diagnosed on our list, that's not all. There are many patients that have shown up at the hospitals who, when they are told to go and get diagnosed, because of money issues, they cannot get the diagnosis. Diagnosis at the Korle Bu or Confirmatory or wherever it is, they must take your blood and analyze and see what type of hemophilia condition that you have. Because there are several types. There are hemophilia A, B, and C, and the von Willebrand's. So they must analyze and diagnose and say you are this or that. And this, the government does not do. The government must come in to support. Then again, the medicine that we receive is so expensive, and it's not enough.
Okay.
Now we practice what we call on demand, but the government must be able to make available, if possible, a prophylactic regime where any patient, the moment you go there, they have medicine for you so that you overcome your difficulties.
We'll do our very best to help
more.
call on the government to intervene in this, because this is a serious
Yes,
issue,
it
so
is.
the government must really get involved. Mamagah, briefly, shortly, we have to go. But then since Martin did mention that the women are the carriers for hemophilia, in your family, who has it?
When I was young, I used to hear of my auntie's son.
Your auntie's son?
Yes, that's...
So your cousin?
My cousin, yeah.
Okay.
Has it. So I didn't know I will have a child with hemophilia because I've been hearing it from afar.
Oh, okay.
We are 4 girls
in
the family. I'm the eldest amongst them. I have 2 sons who has hemophilia.
So your other son also has hemophilia?
Yeah, the younger one.
Okay.
And then my little sisters, she also has 2 sons. One of them has it.
So she's also a carrier?
Yes. But I have 2 other sisters. The other one has 5 boys. None of them have it.
Oh, okay.
I have another sister who has 2 boys. None of them have it.
Oh, so this is very interesting how it plays.
Yes.
Very interesting.
So that is how it is.
Okay. All right. Lord, briefly, do you have a girlfriend? Hey! That's one simple. You're not talking. Hey, Lord. Okay. All right. So the 17th of April is World Hemophilia Day. We are kindly and we are calling on the government to please and please and please. The facts that in Ghana currently, since it's a developing country, the medicines or the treatments that the children are getting for hemophilia is 10 times lesser than what the developed countries are getting. It's quite alarming. And so we are calling on the government to please come to their aid. We need to do better with this. So Martin, thank you so much for your time. And April 17th, we will really support you.
Thank you.
We'll do our very best to support right here on Prime Morning.
Thank you.
Mamagah, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And you're doing amazing as a mother. So God bless you.
Amen.
Lord, since you didn't tell me whether you have a girlfriend or not, no problem. So thank you for sharing your story with us, all right? Yes, and incredible. So viewers, this is where we end this conversation. Make sure that you are still staying with us right here on Prime Morning because we have some other conversations for you. And so we have sports, but let me just still reiterate this out there that please and please and please, we are calling on you to be a part of the Light Up Ghana campaign. So we are awaiting your videos. We are waiting your video, so please take a video of whatever community that the street lights aren't working, the traffic lights aren't working, and let's push the campaign because we seem to have gotten 1 result so far, and we are hoping to count some more results. So please make sure that you send in your video so you can be a part of this campaign. And so coming up next, we have some updates in the world of sports. Yesterday, we gave you a part 1 of the journey of Kadma Yamwa, who was a gold medalist for the high jump during the African Games. And so we have something amazing also put together for you by Muftau Nabil. So do enjoy this one.